We are Cactus Wrestling. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss out on future videos.
Cactus Wrestling is now available on Spotify and Amazon. And don't forget to check us out on Etsy for all of your Cactus Wrestling apparel needs. Happy New Year from Cactus Wrestling. And whoa, 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 what do I got?
Oh,
Yeah.
it's the Cactus Wrestling hat.
Oh my gosh.
Oh Lordy.
And you can own a hat like this too at the Cactus Wrestling Etsy page. That's right. Check out the link in the description below. Get the Cactus apparel. All right, so it is 2025. We had some pretty big upsets already to start the 25 calendar year. So I think the best place to start is how about you and I, Northern Iowa, putting the smackdown on Nebraska.
Oh my God.
I did not see this coming at all.
Not even close. This was the I mean, we talked about it when we kind of previewed Nebraska. We're like, man, like on paper, this could be such a good team. And I feel like they were wrestling pretty close to what we kind of expected up until this duel. Um, and we'll get into it, but like, man, Nebraska just barely avoids a shutout in reality.
Yeah, I mean they only won three matches, and a lot of their top guys that were expected to win uh, did not win. And so, I mean, it starts off at 125 with Caleb Smith losing to Trevor Anderson, who was
Not even ranked.
not even ranked, 31, not even
Yeah.
ranked. Like it wasn't even like 5-2, like yeah, one takedown match, but
In regulation, though.
in regulation, I feel like you and I was at home. They brought their A game. Every guy came to scrap and wrestle. Um, and I don't even think these guys. I'm looking up now, see if these guys had ever met before. But Caleb Smith, who was an All-American last year, a top-ranked guy, taking a loss like this out of character for him for sure.
Yeah, you kind of wonder, like looking at the results, you're like, huh, I wonder if like there's a sickness or something going on with Nebraska because like these results were really not what anyone expected. And not to take anything away from Northern Iowa. I mean, they have a great team and they're coached incredibly well. You know, Coach Schwab, awesome coach, gets guys ready. It's just not the result I think most people were expecting.
Especially, so they did wrestle one time last year in the duel, and Smith beat him in
Mhm.
overtime. Not great when you take a look and you see Trevor Anderson lost to Jack Parker of Bellarmine 3-2 at the Soldier Salute
Yeah,
a
it's a
few days ago, a week earlier. So
good bounce back though.
good bounce back win against Caleb Smith for sure. Um, so that was 25-33. Van D beats Julian Farber, so Nebraska gets a win there. And then Cale Happel beats Brock Hardy 7-5. I mean, Brock Hardy returning third place. This is a guy that can pretty much beat the likes of everybody at this weight class. He takes his second loss of the year to Happel.
I was surprised at Ridge Lovett at 149. It says a 12-9 score. From what I remember, Ridge got out to a pretty good lead, and then Colin Rebuto just kind of clawed his way back into the match. And you know, it's one take with a 3-point takedown. It's one takedown away from forcing overtime. And I think, when you're a guy like Ridge Lovett, who many think still is one of the top guys at 149, um, not the exact match you're hoping for. Still a win, and I can't take that, a win is a win, especially at this level. But I think they were probably expecting some bonus points here for Ridge.
Well, yeah, sure. And Riabito was he's back from redshirting last year, and he had quite a run. I think 2 years ago at the NCAA tournament. I think he gave Yanni a close match.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, good bounce back performance. Ridge couldn't get the bonus points there. One last thing on Happel versus Brock Hardy. So Brock lost to him both times they met last year. Get this. Dual meet, Cale Happel wins 11-8 overtime. Cliff
Mm,
Keen, Cale Happel beats him 15-13.
dang. So it's always a 2-point match.
It's always a 2-point match, high scoring, let it fly.
Always
Good
close.
matchup between these two. So moving on, 57. Hey, Ryder Downey beats Antrell Taylor overtime. Took him
Hmm.
down. And this was a matchup, I believe, from Cliff Keen as well, where Antrell Taylor bested him there. And lo and behold, Downey gets the win this time.
Yeah, we were talking about Antrell Taylor, like we were all pretty high on him, especially after his close match and his frustration with Mitchell Messenbrink last season. We thought, going down a weight, 57, he's a guy that's going to do a lot of damage. And just Ryder Downey kind of snuck it out, stole it from him.
So these two each have one loss on the year, and they're both to each other. So I still think that these two guys are some serious podium threats. I mean, they're ranked 4 and 5
Oh yeah, for
respectively.
sure.
I honestly think 57 is pretty wide open right now.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
Shapiro's the big,
Myers back, but how
yeah, but he's
healthy
the big question mark because of the injury history.
exactly. What's his health looking like?
And I think that while Kasich is undefeated still,
No, I
I
haven't
feel
looked
like
good. Yeah,
both of these guys will have competitive matches with Kasich.
I can agree with that.
Yeah,
Antrell Taylor being Big Ten, he'll see K-Sac at least once.
that's true. Yeah, in the duel too.
Yep.
So we go up to, I mean, in terms of upsets for the rest of the duel, Lenny Pinto snuck out a win against Jared Sima,
Hmm.
6-5. It was like a last ta second takedown. Lenny Pinto is ranked 17 in the country. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about like, is 174, is he going to struggle there? Is a guy that we've talked about like, he great wrestler, one of the best one period wrestlers out there. But he has a gas tank issue. And I think with cutting the additional weight to get down 84 to 74, he was a big 84 to begin with. I don't think it's going to help him, go further. I think he's going to be more tired. And I think that's evident when he's going into very close matches with unranked guys.
So, I mean, it was impressive because he actually Pinto lost to Sima at Cliff Keen 14-8. So he reversed that loss, which is a good sign. And he pretty much bonused his way through the Kent State Open. Mind you, not really any tough competition there, but seems like Pinto maybe starting to find his own a little bit. But yeah, you're right. He's pretty much brute force.
Yeah.
He'll throw in that underhook and he'll tackle you like a football, like brute force. Um, Last big matchup was Parker Kekheisen versus Silas Allred, top five matchup.
Yeah.
And Kekheisen cradled him up and
House.
pinned him. And I'm
Yep.
like, man, it really is Carter versus Parker
Yeah.
against everyone else in this weight class.
It's so exciting to have like, many people still see it as the number one pound for pound in Carter versus the number two pound for pound in Parker. In what's going to be a hopefully another incredible match for them. I hope they let it fly a little bit more in the NCAA finals, assuming they both get there, than they did in the All-Star Classic, which wasn't a bad match, but I think they were both kind of like feeling each other out for a while. Um, but yeah, I think the separation from one, two, and then the rest is immense.
Totally. So, so that kind of wraps up that duel. Like you said, like this really could have been a shutout for
Yeah.
you and I. I mean, the matches that they won 5-0, 12-9, and 6-5. I
Yeah.
mean, all very close within
Winnable
reason
matches
to
for
flip that match up around.
it
Um,
kind of
let
makes you wonder. Do you think Penn State, when they duel Nebraska, has the manpower to shut them out?
it's funny you say that because I was thinking today
Mhm.
that Penn State might have a chance at shutting out Iowa.
I was thinking this. Okay, so I actually saw that. I kind of was thinking about that the other day as well. Um, I'm looking forward to when we do the Iowa Penn State preview.
I mean, as of today, you favor them at 33,
Yeah.
and that's it. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
Maybe there's a miracle and someone beats Carter, but I can't
I don't
really
know.
bank
I
on
wouldn't even
that.
say Carter. I would say like if Ja'Cory Teemer's back at
Oh,
50,
97, 97, Buchanan.
maybe. I mean, I don't know. So
Against Josh Barr, you're gonna put him over Buchanan?
Bars looked really good.
He
Bars,
has. He
all he
has.
has done
But
is
so has
just
Buchanan.
he had a 2-0 match with Cody Merrill.
Cody Merrill's the real deal, though.
I understand. I would say that Josh Barr is an even better prospect.
Than Cody Merrill?
Right now, yeah, if I had to pick between the two of
At
them,
that weight class, Cody Merrill's huge.
Josh Barr has beaten everybody that's ranked.
That's true. But
But
in terms of being a prospect?
well, I guess we'll have to see. But I think too, if Ja'Cory Teemer's back, that could be an interesting matchup for KSAC.
Mm,
But
that'll be the big question mark.
yeah,
Yeah. And then
who's
Angelo
gonna go out at
Ferrari.
84 against Carter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is Carter even gonna go out? I
And let
think
Zach
he will.
Ryder. I would like to see Zach Ryder win. I think that'd be cool.
Yeah. No, that's I don't
Not
really
a,
care about that as much. But let's switch gears here. So we had two major tournaments, Midlands and Scuffle. Before we get into the breakdown here, man, these tournaments are just not what they used to be.
nope.
I mean, thank God we have the Cliff King in Las Vegas because
Yeah, guys still kind of show. I mean, but in year, I feel like that's now making a comeback because there was a few years where guys were just not really sending their top guys. I mean, I remember 2 years ago, a lot of top guys were supposed to go and they all pulled out at the last second, and then guys were medically forfeiting out and defaulting out of the tournament. I mean, we even made a video about it. I think Colton Schultz defaulted out, and we were like, dude, what the heck? And thankfully, they kind of changed that it counts for a loss now. So guys can't just be like, oh, I got sour grapes and I'm done. But
yeah, I
you know,
think in terms of the finalists at each tournament, Midlands had better showing, maybe, than Scuffle. I feel like there was a lot of finalists in Scuffle where I was like, who are these guys?
yeah,
And obviously Penn State brought their backups, and we'll talk about Penn State when we get to it for Scuffle. But I guess we can start at the Midlands. So Midlands, Dean Peterson beats Blake West 8-7 at 25. No, not a real surprise there. Tyler Knox continues to
yeah.
compress for Stanford, beats Dylan Shawver, Big Ten champion last year, 10-3. And I know Shawver's taken some losses this year, but
Still a
still, I
good
mean
win.
that's a
Good win.
solid win. Yeah. Do you think Knox will All-American?
I do. I like him a lot. I think um, it's always fun to like have seen these guys wrestle in high school. I mean, Knox is a New England kid, and to kind of like watch them progress through, New England's and then well wrestle at NHSCA, see how they do there, and then oh, how's his college career going to look? And then seeing that he's beating really impressive guys and going the distance with other equally impressive guys. I think he's going to All-American. I hope I kind of hope he makes it on the platform pretty high, but I think he's still got a ways to go as far as his development, and I think he's going to develop. But I for
Yeah.
sure think that he's someone that's capable. I mean, some places have him as number 10, some have him as number 8. I think that he's a top 8 guy.
Yeah,
So.
I agree. CJ
What
Composto beats Joseph Olivieri from Rutgers 4-1. Jaden Bass of Stanford beats Cross Wasilewski of Penn 10-9 at 149. Johnny Lovett, Central Michigan, beats DJ McGee from George Mason 2-2 tiebreakers. Tyler Lillard upsets Max Mayfield 7-3.
Okay, nice little.
Uh, this is probably the best ranked matchup. 74, Lorenzo Norman of Stanford beats Nikai Contrera 11-5, although I think Nikai Contrera maybe a little bit ranked high before then. Reese Heller beats Shane Cartagena Walsh of Rutgers 9-6. Maxed Out of Pitt beats Gabe Sollers of Indiana 13-9, and then Josh Heinzelman of Michigan decisions Jacob Bullock 5-4 of Indiana. So not the deepest tournament out there. Stanford ends up winning the team title,
Yeah.
Rutgers second, and Penn third.
Happy for Stanford. I mean, it's still like I know that their whole, they save their wrestling program, but it's always just a hop, skip, and a jump from the team being like, okay, but like that was a few years ago. We're here now. We're gonna cut you guys again. So I'm
It's
glad to
true.
see like they're still, winning awards. Pretty much a third of the champions were from Stanford. Uh, beating Rutgers and Penn, two pretty solid programs. Rutgers especially, possible home of Bo Bassett in the future. We don't know, but
Definite, definite.
but it's nice to see, an Ivy League school that's still very competitive. Um, because I know with, NIL, it's I feel like Ivies are getting a little bit less love.
Totally. So moving over to Southern Scuffle. Now that I'm actually looking at this, eh, with the Penn State backups who could be starters elsewhere,
Yeah.
maybe equally in terms of quality of competition
Yeah.
at this tournament. Tough to tell. Um, Number 7, Steve O'Poulin. He beat Spencer Moore 5-0. He pretty much cakewalked through the tournament.
Yeah.
Had a couple of ranked wins. We
I
expect that from
was
Steve-O.
I was hoping to see Steve-O versus oh gosh, who was in the bracket as well?
Kurt McHenry.
Yeah, but Kurt McHenry lost earlier. He wrestled back. I think he took fifth. He might have taken fourth. Um, but I thought that could be a fun matchup because McHenry's kind of like in his last year. He's got this. I got to prove something. Um, and he's a great wrestler. He's a multiple time world medalist. He's not just some slouch. He just had a hard time breaking the roster breaking the lineup at Michigan. So I thought that could be fun. I actually thought if he beat Steve-O or if it was competitive, I thought it could have a roster battle for him and Luke Lillidahl. But I think that him not making the finals is kind of sealed that we're going to see Lillidahl for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I think so too. At 33, a little frustrating to see Nasir Bailey uh, overtime 4-1 win over Dominic Serrano. Although Serrano was one of his losses. Serrano beat him at Scuffle last year 5-3. So this was actually
An
an
improvement.
avenged,
Yeah.
an avenged win for Nasir, which we like to see because he has kind of struggled this year
Yeah.
with Braden Davis loss, with the Blake Borman loss. Um, beat,
He's
yeah.
he's not confident in his bottom game, I've noticed.
Well,
He's
yeah, he's just not putting himself there for
yeah,
whatever reason.
and he's got a great neutral game, and we saw that last season. But at this level, it can't just be I'll take you down, and if I can't take you down, then I'm going to lose, and it's one of those two options. Um, so it was nice to see him get a win here, but I still am not sold that he is the same Nasir Bailey that he was last season. Um, kind of getting an overtime win against a guy that's ranked outside of the top 20. Um,
Hmm.
it's not great. It's not bad. I mean, if had to pick between 100% win rate or 100% bonus rate, everyone's taking the win rate. But,
Hmm.
this is a guy that we talked about it even in preseason that he was going to be a top guy and, tossed around the idea of, oh, is he our preseason pick at 133? And I feel like he's just not at that level right now. But, NCAA is still a ways away. And who knows what the season holds for him.
Yeah, I hope to see, I mean, guy from Little Rock kind of carrying
Yeah,
the program on his back. Hopefully he can bounce back and have a good showing into the postseason. So 41, Dylan Cedeno of Virginia beats Jaden Scott 2-zip. Jordan Williams of Little Rock transfer
yeah.
for for
Lack of a
what
better term.
legal reasons? I don't know what
I
the
think,
deal was there.
yeah,
Breaking team rules, maybe
it
something
was
like
like
that.
he had like drink. It was like I think he was caught drinking or something, and then David Taylor was like, "Yep, off the program. We have a zero tolerance." And hey, like that's the rule. That's the rule. Whatever it is, um, it sucks because Jordan Williams is a heck of an athlete, a heck of a wrestler.
He took
But
down Shane Van Ness earlier this year.
he did, and then Shane Van Ness pinned him. So, this is a bit of a revenge match, I guess, for him against a Penn State guy.
Yeah, it was a good win against Connor Pierce. Connor Pierce, by the way, you probably don't know that name, but he beat number 13 Willie McDougal in the semifinals 4-3. So
Yes, he
just
did.
another example of Penn State backups getting bet. And we'll talk about
We haven't
Kale had a
really.
nice
Oh, yeah,
interview
he did.
recently. We'll talk about that in terms of Penn State in the backup situation.
I feel like Jordan Williams is in a good spot. I think I'm happy to see again. If he picked any school, I'm glad it's Little Rock. We talked about this last season. We love programs on the rise, and I think it's awesome to see a guy go to Little Rock, and
For sure.
hopefully he does well, even if it's over a Penn State guy.
Yeah. 57 was a weak weight class. Blake
Yeah.
Saito of Brown beats Max Peterson of North Dakota State. I don't even know if there was any ranked guys at this weight class. Yeah, I don't think there was a single ranked guy. So that's
Mm,
what I was talking about, quality.
yeah.
65, we had
Gunnar
Gunnar
Filippo
Flipowicz of Army beat Aiden Wallace of Duke 18 to
teched him.
3. I mean, yeah, I
Big
mean,
point scorer.
yeah.
Love that.
Here was a guy, 74, Sergio Desciante
Cassianti.
of Chattanooga. He beats number 10 Gavin Sachs of Oklahoma 3-2. And in the semis, he beats Lennox Wolak of Virginia Tech by
Respect on
one
this man's
point,
name.
7-6.
He
So
was
heck,
I believe, also the first ever Chattanooga Southern Scuffle champion.
oh yeah.
So, like,
The
again,
host
love to see it.
school.
Love it. Um, but yeah, I saw some people were kind of poo-pooing Lennox Wallach. Uh, and they're like, oh, like he shouldn't be ranked like that. Like, he's a bad wrestler.
Dude
It's
took
like,
sixth
well,
place last year.
yeah, and I was like, he's a returning All-American. Like, people do take losses. I think because people wrestle so infrequently now, a lot of guys are like, well, his record's not good. He's 12-1. It's like, well, he's got 13 matches. I mean, you know, it's when you wrestle, you're gonna probably take a loss every now and then. He's not. So respect to Lennox Wallach for at least towing the line. But man, Sergio Descianti, what a day! Beats two guys ranked in the top 10, including a returning All-American who is, that's not an easy day to beat top guys back to back.
True. However, what did Lennox Wallach do to follow up his loss?
Not great.
He loses to Dalton Harkins of Army 4 to
Like,
1 in overtime, and then he
yeah,
gets pinned by Caleb Campos in a minute 44 of American.
yeah, I don't know what, with Wallach, that was, it's exciting to see the first upset, and then you see the second, you're like, something's not right here.
Bad day.
Yeah,
Everyone's allowed a bad day every
people
once in a
have
while.
them. I mean, it's,
At least he wrestled it out. Like a lot
yeah,
of guys would probably med forfeit out.
yep. So respect to him for that. I mean, hopefully he's not injured. And we'll kind of get into an injury report after this because there's some big names, but you hate to see it in a sport that like wrestling though, where guys go all out and they really sell it. It's part of the process, part of the sport, unfortunately. So hopefully he's not hurt though.
Yeah. So nice coming out party for Desciante at the host school. 84, we got a good look at Zach Ryder of Penn State. He beats AJ Heeg of Northern Colorado 6-1 in overtime, though.
He's legit though. I mean, he was someone that was, he was a big name coming out of high school, um, joining that Northern Colorado up and coming program. I thought he was an Oklahoma commit at one point or Oklahoma State. I could be wrong about that. I feel like I vaguely remember that though.
He was at Oklahoma State last year. He's
Yeah. Okay.
transferred.
So, AJ Heeg, not a slouch by any means. I think the big match for Zach Ryder though was in the semis. Um, so he beats DJ Parker in the quarters from Oklahoma. In the semis, he's matched up against TJ Stewart, and I'm like, wow, like exciting match. At least last year. TJ Stewart has not had the best season this year. Um, and I think TJ Stewart mismanaged his own match. So if you guys saw it, he goes to, like pass the leg through, and Zach Ryder just like, oh cool, I'll just stick you. And he catches him. And TJ Stewart really doesn't fight it. He's kind of like, okay, I'm caught. I'm just gonna give up the pin and whatever. But
Tough
you know,
year for TJ Stewart. 4 and
yeah,
6 on the year.
I would have liked to seen this match go further because it was competitive at first. But I think Zack Ryder is a very exciting wrestler to watch. And Penn State's gonna have a lot of questions, to figure out what they're gonna do with their lineup because there's talks that Zack Ryder is the size of a 74 and he's just bumping up to get the matches. Um, there's talks of, does Zach stay at 84 or does Josh Barr come back to 84? Okay, if who's at 84, then, does someone try to go down to knock off, you know, Levi Haynes? And then what about 97 with Connor Mirasola and Zach and Josh Barr? I mean, just the suffering from success model that Penn State has, especially when they're bringing in upper weights like Will Henkel, um, Asher Cunningham. So, and not to mention other guys that are already in their team, like Joe Seeley.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So, it's what does Penn State do? And we'll talk about that very shortly.
Well, speaking of Penn State, the Mirasola brothers, they each take titles. Connor at 97 beats Patrick Brophy 7-3 of the Citadel, and Cole beats Lucas Stoddard 9-zip at heavyweight. Both ranked wins. So
Lu
nice job on the Mirasola's parts.
Lucas Stoddard, I think, tore or messed up his knee in the match. I saw it like pop while I was watching that. Um, he's in he's kind of like whizzing down hard. Cole's trying to shelf the single leg, and you just see the knee. He goes like he yells out. He literally yells out in pain, and you see the knee pop.
Mm.
And then he kind of like falls and you think he's gonna call for injury time or something, but the ref just was like, nope, keep wrestling. Um, and it really wasn't much of a match after that. I think that his other leg was already pretty taped up, so hopefully he's gonna be okay. I mean, these guys that are in the military academies, Army, Navy, West, Air Force, even D3 Coast Guard, like they have a very, very grueling schedule outside
Hmm.
of their athletics.
Totally, yeah.
So
Yep.
like, you want to see these guys in the best health possible. Um, but the Mirasola brothers are as advertised. Cole's still on the smaller side for 285, but it's great to see he's taking matches and beating, ranked guys.
So Army wins the title,
Yes.
and
Oh yeah.
Oklahoma and Penn State tie for second with Carolina on the cusp for third. Um, it's just funny. The Penn State had the most champions. They had three
Yeah, they
champions.
did.
Yeah, and it's their backups.
Yeah. I
Crazy.
mean, it's like I said, it's we kind of did this in a video. I mean, we talked about could Penn State's backups win an NCAA title as a team. And each year it seems like it's more and more likely to happen.
So injury report here. Main one's pretty much with Missouri.
Yeah.
So Rocky Elam is out for the year. Do
Fortunately,
you
yeah.
think he's gonna be at Missouri next year?
Oof.
Or do you think,
I I think he's gonna he might get a 1 year NIL deal, you think?
Uncle Tom Brands is gonna write a fat check?
Yeah. So, on the topic of the Hawkeye Booster Club, um, there's rumors floating around that they're trying to get Figueroa for next year as well.
Yeah, I mean, why not? Although Figueroa has responded to those claims saying
Yeah. I
he's
love
loyal,
ASU.
he's
Yep.
not gonna
I'm not a
flip. He's
sellout
like,
or
I haven't
whatever.
signed anywhere. Where have you
Yeah.
heard that?
Yep.
He
Well,
could
that
just
was
be
like
playing with people.
he called out he called out guys last year. I think he called out his teammates. He's like, because I think Colton Schultz was going to test the portal, if I remember correct.
Hmm.
And Richie Figs tweets out, "Is like you guys are a bunch of sellouts," and then didn't tag anybody. But I think Elam could definitely end up at Iowa. Let's. I'm not saying he's not, but
He
not
could
saying
end up at
yes.
Michigan maybe too,
Yeah, that's true.
because
And
Cardenas.
Keegan is the other big name in that. So Keegan is out for at least a few months. They hope he's back by postseason. Um, which really kind of puts in perspective that how long has Keegan first been wrestling with an injury? Second, did he beat Levi Haynes while hurt? I mean, it's a pretty it's an interesting question because if that's the case, then wow, Keegan is incredibly talented.
I mean, we knew this. You guys just,
Yeah.
refused to believe it.
Oh my goodness, here we go again. Um, and then the final one that I can think of is Wyoming's Jory Volk,
hmm Out for the
who
year,
is,
right?
yep, going to apply for a medical red shirt. Um, it sucks for him. He's kind of been through it a little bit, but I think it gives more likelihood of Luke Liddell winning the national champion with one guy less, one less guy in his way.
Yeah. Well, no. It took me a minute to
Yeah,
respond to
I
that,
was waiting
but
for you to be like, wait a second.
come on. If that happens, I could see him. No, it's
Can't
not
even.
gonna happen.
We'll
You never
see.
know.
You
You never know.
never know. You never do.
You never know. So let's get to wrap up here. Kale had an interview, and his guys were playing dodgeball in the back, and one person was brave enough to ask, why do you think that guys choose Penn State, even if it means sacrificing some of their years of eligibility to ride the bench? And Kale answered it straight up and was pretty much just like, we've got a good thing going here, and guys know that, we have similar goals that if they want to be a national championship, they have to put themselves in the room that's going to be best suited to get them there.
Yep.
And if you're good being a 4-year starter, if that's a goal of yours, then you can go somewhere else. Otherwise, you can join what we have here at Penn State. And I guess seeing it from that perspective, I can kind of appreciate it. Where you might be a guy, I texted our group chat and let us know in the comments down below. Would you rather be a guy like Anthony Cassar, aside from him beating Gable? Like, let's say it was
Yeah.
someone else.
Let's just say he's a 1 year national champ over anyone else.
1 year starter, 1 year
Yeah.
national champ. Would you rather be that guy or maybe a guy like Rocky Elam, 4-time All-American from Missouri, but not never in the finals? Not to
Yep.
say that like one is mutually like if
That
you're
the
at
one's
Penn
better, but
State, yeah, one's better or the other. But
what would you pick
that's
for your
kind
own
of Kale's
personal?
comparison is saying, yeah, you can be a 4-year starter elsewhere, but we think we have the best tools here to
To win
have you
national title.
succeed and win a national title. So, yeah, let us know what you would think. And hearing it from that perspective, I guess it makes sense. Like, you may not be the starter, but you're going to be the best version of
Yeah,
yourself potentially. We're seeing that with all the
for
backups.
sure.
And maybe
And
if they
even guys that
only,
I would say even with guys that transfer out, we see like how good they do when they said, okay, I was at Penn State for 3 years. I'm going for my 1 year shot now.
yeah, I mean, Michael Beard transferred to Lehigh, Terrell Barraclaw
Yeah.
most recently. We
Nick
do see it,
Suriano.
Nick Suriano.
Yeah.
It is possible to have success away from Penn State. I mean, just ask Spencer Lee.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it was interesting to think of it in that approach, seeing guys kind of, even if their time in the limelight is short, that one glory, that 1 year of you in the spotlight, you in that starting role, make the most of it. The problem is that Penn State has so many quality guys that once we're seeing freshmen make the lineups. It's like these journeyman guys, like David Evans last year. He was like this journeyman guy. He spot starter. Even Terrell Bearclaw. Like
Mhm.
these were journeyman wrestlers. They never even got a chance in the starting
Yeah.
lineup. And so it's like, do you sacrifice that where I may never crack this lineup, but I'm going to be such a great wrestler? Or do you test the waters like Terrell Bearclaw and hey, enough is enough. I want to like compete. I want to take a stab at it. So it's a little tricky. I feel like the best model would be go to Penn State, redshirt, maybe try it for a second year, and then after the second year, dip if you're not the starter.
So I was gonna say, like, what's interesting circling back is Kurt McHenry transferred in with his last year of eligibility. Um, and Kale kind of talked about that very briefly. He's like, we have a great culture and we're big into freestyle. um, which is things that like we've kind of talked about, like, oh, people go to Penn State for the culture. It's this big culture they have, culture, 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 and oh, the NLWC this, and their freestyle accolades that. Um, but it does make you wonder, why does someone like Kurt McHenry transfer out of Michigan to come to Penn State when he could potentially go to any other smaller school and be a starter and take one run at it? And is he betting on himself that much that he's going to win national shot, win the starting spot and then maybe, win a national title? Um, does he have long-term plans to stay at the NLWC and kind of revitalize his freestyle career? Like there's so many, while Kale did answer the question, I feel like I still have so many more questions.
You know what I saw recently in a Bo Bassett interview was that when he toured Penn State, he said that something unusual that they do at Penn State, they listen to one song on repeat for the entirety of the practice.
Yeah, I've heard that.
And apparently that's a thing. Like some marathon runners I know, they do the same thing. They listen to one song on repeat, and it kind of trains the mind to kind of like endure through that whatever hardship that you're battling. Um, I don't know if I'd like that or not. I
I
mean,
know I've heard like,
although I kind of tune out music while I was in practice. I never really
yeah,
cared what was
you get
on.
your headgear on and you can't really hear anything anyway.
Yeah.
Well, interesting you talk about that. Like, so Bo Bartlett has talked in a few interviews about the secret weapon Penn State has is like their sports psychologist they have on staff. And so much of what they do is sports psychology, and it's why you see them, do so well in these big moments, and rarely do they falter in the big moment. And I think taking something like playing a song for the entirety of a 2 hour, 3 hour, whatever, however long the practice is, the same song over and over, has to be part of their like sports psychology. It's part of their culture, and I hate to keep using the word, but I feel like Penn State is a team that's so dialed into their formula of like, this is what works, this isn't what works, this is what works, this is what works. And why would we waste time on things that we know don't work? And so while it's a culture that's not for everybody, the guys that seem to go there and that fit into it seem to excel rapidly. And not just in wrestling, but like, you know, look at look at Max Dean, who's like, I'm so glad I came here because I'm a better man for it. And he's talking about how Penn State has shaped his entire life. And it's like, dude, like you were at Cornell, like a top wrestling school and one of the best academic schools in the world. And Penn State, the short time you were there, made more of an impact. Theoretically, at least it sounds like in interviews, like what is in the water there? Like how do they get guys to buy in so much? And like I said, I loved Kel's answer, but it just leads for more questions for me. I feel like anytime we get a peek inside the Nittany Lion room, it just leaves me wanting more.
That's it. That's
That's
it right
it.
there. Uh, one more thing on Penn State I was going to say. Oh, it's the Bible group, the Bible study. That's the
Yes,
secret sauce.
dude, I'm telling it's a lot of programs do it. You know, um, I'm not going to get into it, but I
Hey,
think
if it's a super important part of your
it is. I mean, for me,
ideology,
it is. For me,
then
it is. But I know that like for not everybody, it's not, and no judgment on that. But I think we're seeing it more and more in wrestling. Um, you see like David Carr has the 100% Jesus headband, and then you know the Bull from Iowa, and even I think like I think it was a few Iowa wrestlers, not just one. Um, had like the Jesus Train T-shirts,
yeah.
but I know that even Bo Bassett talked about this with the Olympic trials and being part of like the Olympic team and the world teams. Like Bible study is built into their curriculum.
Hmm.
Um, and I think it's why you see so many wrestlers um being able to like talk about it in interviews afterward. I mean, so frequently they're like, what Aaron Brooks obviously comes to mind. And how did you do that tonight? when he's talking to Shane Sparks, and he's like, "Holy, just the holy, power of the Holy Spirit." And I love it. I think it's awesome. I know for some people they're like, it's corny, that's BS, it's fake, who cares? I think it's really cool. And I think like even with my young wrestlers, like my high school kids and my youth kids, they're impressionable and they see that and they I have one high schooler that it's real his faith has been a huge thing for him this season. And regardless of the outcome, I've noticed he's happier, he's more confident, he's going the extra mile to help other people. And not that he wasn't doing these things before, but it seems like he is able to fall back and say, like, no matter what happens, I'm going to trust that I'm here for a reason, and I'm going to give it my best shot and know that like my back, I'm supported.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting, the Penn State culture. You're kind of starting to see that shift to other colleges and even to other high school programs. I mean, even Faith Christian Academy with the Bachman brothers, and you see like Bo Bassett, Jax Forrest, they're big into it as well. And I think it's awesome. And people can agree and disagree, and hopefully there's not a lot of comments on that part of the video because we talked about so much other stuff that's awesome. Um, Hopefully you guys.
Especially the Cactus
Cactus
Wrestling
hat.
hats. Get yours today.
Yeah.
You don't want to miss out on the steal of 2025. I mean, look at that.
It'll be, when all your friends are wearing one, you don't want to be the last one to get one.
Yeah, exactly. So again, thanks for watching Cactus Wrestling. Drop a comment down below. What are your thoughts on the recap from the first week of the 2025 wrestling season? Let us know down below, and don't forget to check out our Etsy shop for your merch. Until next time, we are Cactus Wrestling.
Thanks for watching. We are Cactus Wrestling, and we'll see you next time on our next video.